Right next door to you guys. Well, which west? Yeah.
Kyle Icorn, oh, sorry. Kyle Icorn is also virtual.
Maybe I'll come. He's joined the group.
Come on in.
Kyle left out.
So, Kyle, Brad, so we're all here.
So our last meeting is the first. Jenny's on too, they said.
And we lost the clock again.
Feels like an exile.
Jeff should be here shortly.
Okay. Yeah, I was waiting for the drill. You think? Give him 2 minutes. Jeff is on. Okay. Brad. Okay, good evening, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you for attending the Town of Pendleton's July Planning Commission meeting. If I could have a roll call vote since we have 2 or 3 on Zoom, please. Denise.
Brad Valentine.
Brad Valentine,
Brad Valentine, correct.
Jenny Sisson. Jenny, can you hear us? Kyle Icorn.
Here.
Carol Hannah,
Here.
Tim Pritchard,
Here.
Cheryl Ruby Hunt,
Here.
Connie Schultz Hine,
Here.
Jen Sisson. She may not have your reception,
Is she online?
but she is on.
She's on. Okay.
I said on there.
Here, can you hear me now?
Little delay there. Good. Okay, we do have a full quorum. Thank you. If I could, excuse me, could ask the board to review the minutes submitted on your tablets and motion to approve unless there's any corrections or additions.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of June 1st.
Thank you, Carol. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Cheryl. All those in favor of the minutes submitted as for approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Okay, no old business from previous months, so moving on to new business. Request in zoning change from Ag 1 to Light Industrial District 5517 State Road 38.
All right, so this is a proposed zone map change at 5517 State Route 38. Petitioner is More Capital and Gates Development LLC. It is 2 parcels, which is approximately 113 acres combined. The current zoning is large lot agriculture or A1, and the proposed zoning is to light industry. So these parcels fall into the southwest part of the I-69 plan, which is slated for 2 areas. You've got the southern part of the Keystone District and then a residential development district. The southwest part of the Keystone District is expected for like commercial style retail that supports the larger Keystone District in the northwest quadrant. And the market analysis that was done for the I-69 plan indicated that executive style homes would have market traction in this residential area. And that would also develop to include trails and like a regional stormwater system that would double as park space. Next slide, please. So this is a conceptual site plan. As you can see there, there's 4 buildings. They range from 268,000 to 363,000 square. They include truck docks, drive-ins, semi-trailer parking, on-site detention, There is an existing tree line there that would remain, from what I can tell, it's pretty large, old trees. And this property would potentially have to include part of the 146th Street extension that is in the I-69 plan. The proposed use, light industry, allows for distribution facilities and light manufacturing, which is, I'll let the petitioner have some talk about it. I believe that's kind of what they're going for. So as far as our analysis goes, I'm going to let the petitioner speak. The rezone from Ag 1 to light industry does not meet the intent of our I-69 quadrant plan. However, a small part of it does fall into that Southern Keystone District, which is slated for more commercial uses, but if the planning commission thinks it's a better use to have light industry there, it could potentially fit. Proximity to highways definitely play a factor in anything that ends up going here. So as you know, your commission can vote to recommend neutral, favorable, unfavorable, with or without conditions, or we can continue for more information. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to More Capital and let them talk you through any questions or any.
Thank you, Hannah.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Skaggs, and I'm applying with Roberts Meads in Carmel, and I represent More Capital in this petition. And as we have Tom Theobald here for More Capital, and Jason Gaines owns the Gaines Development, and it's owned by Gaines Development and Gaines Development two separate parcels, so represents both of those. And Hannah did a great job summarizing this, and basically it's, when we looked at this and More came in, the idea of having industrial, light industrial along I-69, where I-69 already has a lot of noise pollution, air pollution, that going on, to have any type of executive homes along 69 there, we don't think would be the best use of that property there. And I know that in a previous plan commission meeting that was brought up with possibly altering that slightly. Thank you for suggesting that. So with the change here, it's currently being farmed by one of Mr. Filmer, and he's been there for some time for the Gaines Development. And now with these two parcels, there More Capital is looking at putting some kind of, light industrial on there. I know the site plan that is presented is not a final one. Of course, that's just an example of projects that they have done before and what they think would look good in that spot. There has been previous discussions on further out west beyond this, having those the homes that are entire property over, and possibly shielding them from some of the current noise and air pollution from 69 with that existing tree line, and maybe even bulking that up just to present and have an additional barrier there for them. And again, having this, most of this property is right along that I-69. It just, with this petition, it seems like it would be a better use of that land than what the I-69 master plan had originally scheduled in there with having residential. And if you have any questions, we can answer any of those. But that generally, I mean, there's not a lot in this. This is just what it is.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Entertain questions from the board at this time.
I'm having a hard time getting my bearings on exactly where this spot is.
Sure.
So if you can help
It's
me with
kind of
that.
sort of behind Van Welker. That'll get you close.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Yes, behind
So
that. you
behind
have-
it, but along 69 there and not.
Yes, and so if.
Can you go down one slide? It'll might help her a little bit. Or up one, whichever way you're going.
There we go.
Yep.
So it is right along 69. You can see that, like the southeast line there, that's all along 69. And the red part that's along there, that's one
That's the
there.
interchange. Exit
Where's the
100,
track?
Yes, it's behind and around this
Right.
block.
Where's
Right,
Okay.
so we're talking about this parcel right here.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, totally, that helps. Okay. You can't visualize like how much land is behind the tractor place, so thank you.
And you can see on that's a good site there. You can see that to the west, there is some additional parcels that are right there that still is between the subject parcels and where the current residential land is.
Cheryl,
Yes.
questions?
Well, I have concerns about the presentation of the town from a major entry point. I prefer the residential look when you pull 69. I understand, your concerns about pollution and noise and that kind of thing. I think it's a very important zoning question that you're presenting here tonight. I certainly don't own the vision for the town, although I do think there's a lot of work put into this planning, particularly this intro into the town. And I think it makes a big difference of what the view is when you come into town. So I personally am feeling really uncomfortable with the type of buildings that you're describing here to put right when you're pulling into the town. But that's my opinion. And I feel like we're being asked to change zoning that a lot of energy went into. We talked about that on the board before. I hesitate to change the plan unless there's some real compelling reason to do that, just because it represents some focus group work with the town. So I don't really have questions. I have concerns, I guess.
One thought on changing that zoning was we kind of come to a little bit of agreement. We thought that the residential zoning in that corner, that curve, might be a little unattractive for homes down there right next to the interstate, behind what is currently there. That's kind of where that was slated at the end, but
Yeah, I know it was brought up either last month or the month,
right.
possibly updating that area.
But appreciate your comment. I understand.
So just purely from a planning perspective, not from a town business, but perspective, housing along the highways typically not attractive, considered attractive. So that's just kind of where the discussion came in. That's something, in the future, we want to updating that. Some better use in the future.
Carol?
Well, I tend to agree with Cheryl. My concerns are a lot of work was put into this plan. And my feeling is you can buffer sound. I personally feel like we could probably have less sound from I-69 than you do from State Street going right down through town, because I live on I-69. Vouch for that. But beside that, I mean, I went back to the I-69 interchange. I mean, it's the clear intention is to limit uses to desired types. Departure from the use types will dilute the strength of this development. And I feel like there was a lot of effort put into that. And I just don't feel like we should dismiss the effort and the number of people that were part of the discussion. It was market-based. It was using planning principles. And I'm not in favor of making any major changes to that at this point. That's
Okay. Brad,
This is Jen. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna
Go
get
ahead, Jen.
Go ahead, Jen.
I just want to concur with what Cheryl said as well. A lot of time and thought went into this. And a lot of people had their thoughts about use. And I'm also concerned with the traffic. And visually, we only have one corridor, and thinking about how this corridor is going to look and the type of buildings that are going to be placed there. And eventually, if that road connects over 69. The other side is residential. I think there's a lot of things that we thought about. So again, I would just concur with Cheryl.
Thank you, Jen. Brad?
Yeah, I'm going back to the master plan and the vision for the city. Very concerned about the visual impact of putting in a large commercial warehousing and all of the truck docks right there in the entryway to the Keystone area. If we are trying to attract commercial, office, and higher end residential, and to be honest, some of our best residential developments are just west of there, and was cited in the study as a key area for continued residential development. You know, I hate to see the gateway to Pendleton being 1 million square feet of industrial building. And based upon the number of truck docks, truck bays, one of my questions for the petitioner would be, what's the anticipated truck traffic on a daily basis in and out during a 24-hour period?
Thank you, Mr. Rouse. I think at this point, it's not a final plan. So as far as there hasn't been numbers that have been developed to determine exactly what that's going to look like. So we can't go there today to answer that question.
So how many total bays are there across the 4 buildings? I had that.
And again, I will say the site plan, this is just an example of something that can go there. It has not been decided that this will be the plan. But Tom, if you want to give some more information.
Tom Theobald with More Capital. Press a couple of comments about the appearance of the entry into the Pendleton area at this interchange. One of the things that is very typical of well, modern distribution buildings, it's corner office features now don't look like.
Can you please speak closer to the microphone?
The corner
Thank
office to these types of buildings don't look like Tractor Supply buildings anymore. They look more like 2-story office entries. And our buildings would have those at nearly every corner. Certainly we would be featuring those types of corners along the interstate because of the visibility. Prospective tenants that would like to occupy these buildings like that kind of a look. It helps them attract employees to their facility. The building looks nice, got third story windows down the side, a lot of brightness inside the building. And architecturally, those can be very attractive. And that would be another opportunity in the development approval process if it were to be rezoned, that the planning commission council would have input on the architectural features of the buildings before any permits were issued. With respect to the truck traffic, it is right at the interchange. So truck movements are going to be off the interchange to the west, into the park, do their work inside the business park, come back out and get back on the interstate. So from impact of traffic, perhaps trying to go through town with trucks, that's not where trucks from this development will go. They'll go right back out of the interstate.
Are you, another question, are you currently operating any facilities similar to this?
More Capital has a 500-acre park in Whiteland, Indiana, that we're under development. We have about 3.5 million square feet that we've constructed there. It again is right on the interstate. It's right on 65, right up the new Whiteland interchange that was put in years ago, and it works very well. It comes off of the interstate at an interchange, and it hits a roundabout, and then that roundabout feeds into the development that we have going on there. Cooper Tire was our first tenant that went into that project. We've got 3 other buildings under construction now.
Based upon that development, how many trucks per day in a comparable 300,000 square foot facility?
I only be guessing, and I prefer to maybe come back to the commission with some answers along that. I could also come back with some architectural renderings of what the buildings would look like.
I was going to suggest that.
So that you can see what maybe an entry into the city of Pendleton might, how attractive that might be or could be.
Yeah, I think it would help. We had a little bit more information on that.
Kyle, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So just looking at the comprehensive plan and the I-69 interchange plan, I think, what we're trying to come to a decision on is whether light industrial meets the goal of the plan. And just based on, looking at the 2018 comp plan and then looking at the I-69 interchange update, it doesn't appear that light industrial fits here. And it says specifically in the interchange plan that they're reserving the frontage along 38 to tie in with future Keystone development. So, rezoning that to light industrial wipes that whole point off the map. And, it kind of ignores, the whole plan for the Southwest quadrant. So, just, comparing it to the comp plan and what we've developed, I concur with the other members who have said, it just doesn't seem to fit here. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Kyle. Questions, or comments from the audience, residents or neighbors? Ed?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Edward Valenti. I'm at Decker Lawyer Maynard. I represent Pendleton Development LLC, which has about 100 acres directly to the west of the subject property, and the Warren and Nancy Hunsinger Trust, which have about 100 acres directly to the north of the subject property. We have a couple of points. I have one procedural point that I usually bring up, and then a couple of more substantive points. My procedural point has to do with compliance with state statute and the ability of the Plan Commission to make decisions. The Plan Commission is still not in compliance with the state statute required membership, so we would contest any zoning decision on that ground that would be unfavorable. Going on to the substantive points, I think I would concur with what the members of the board have said this evening. Looking at the plan and what has been stated as the board's desire for our client's ground, this doesn't seem to fit. At the May Planning Commission meeting where this was discussed, I remember discussing with the board whether or not they would purchase large value executive homes if there were industrial buildings in the backyard. The answer, unsurprisingly, was no. So we feel that this is also not a fit for the usage that has been publicly proclaimed through things like the Uniform Development Ordinance and your Interstate Master Plan and these sorts of things. Additionally, we would also be concerned about that truck traffic. One thing that I've noticed coming to Pendleton for several years now, is in order to go west, you have to go east. To get off the interstate, you have to go east. You have to make another roundabout that's really not designed to fit through large volumes of truck traffic. Then go back across the two roundabouts on top of 69, which are also, I guess, Peanut roundabout. We'll call it a peanut. You have to go across the Peanut, which also isn't really designed for large volumes of truck traffic. And I think from my observations, the infrastructure just wouldn't support the volume of planned truck traffic. And then finally, there is the discussion of the 146th Street extension and 67th Street extension, both of which I'm sure if there was an industrial development they would like to hook into, and there needs to be further engagement with the landowners whose property those extensions would cross. We are concerned about the lack of engagement by anybody wanting to tie into those roads, because these are the two subject properties that any extension of 146th Street, Pendleton Development to the west, or 67 Warren and Nancy Hunsinger trusts to the north would have to engage in. So we would ask that the board tonight deny or table this for further information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, one more.
Sure can.
After listening to all the comments, I think that as far as this property is concerned, I still feel that looking at best use, the comment being, do executive homes want to be next to light industrial? Well, executive homes want to be next to I-69. So you still have that argument. Here, I think that this opportunity gives that buffer that we had heard in other discussions, as well as what can we do to even bolster what's currently there as far as the tree line and making that even larger. And to Mr. Theobald's point about architecture, It's amazing what they can do now with architecture as far as making these buildings look, beautiful. So they're not just your stone, square buildings. They do have a lot of architectural value to them. When you see those do look nice as far as coming in and seeing that in Pendleton. From Pendleton, I understand that. I support, the ideas here with expanding what's going on as far as the economy and what can we do to bring people here. I think that the jobs also that would be presented are great opportunities here as well. So beyond what is just there with the I-69 Southwest Quadrant, what was presented in the master plan, I think just looking at that and tweaking it and just going back like the May meeting when it was discussed on, does it make sense to really have those executive type homes against right alongside the interstate? So I think it's back to it. It probably doesn't make sense, and we still, believe that that's true. And then, secondly, I know that if we are going to move forward with this, one of the other points that we had been discussing with the Plan Commission is with the current economy, the way it is right now, things just taking a little longer. We had discussed with the farmer as well, there was an opportunity to continue to use the land as farmland and not just make it vacant from day one, but go ahead and let him continue to farm that. With things going now, they're going to push back because of supply issues and everything else. We're looking at a couple more years, allowing the farmers to go ahead and go in there and continue to do their work there that they've been doing for years on and down. That was another responsibility that we thought would be great here to add that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Jason Gaines, one of the owners with my family. We've had the property for quite a while, and I've worked with Doug McGee and other town planners. We've been here, neighbors and everybody else. I totally understand and appreciate there was a lot of work that went into this, and it is a shame when you look at something to change it, because I knew the work when I was talking to the current previous planners of what they really put their heart and soul into it. Unfortunately, we did, when that came out, we actually did approached a purchase agreement for the building of houses, which we were happy with. It fell into the plan. It was really a good idea. The problem is that it was a well-known builder, and he says it's not feasible to build houses there. Profitable for him, and then he introduces to another gentleman. Probably wasn't building the type of houses that Pendleton would want, and I didn't want to, so we didn't pass on the deal. This was not our original intent, but when Tom came to us, and I've seen the other things built out in White and some of the buildings, because it just sounds horrible to me. I'll be honest. I mean, buildings, big buildings, and coming to the city, it just doesn't sound good. But I did see the buildings. Something will go there at some point in time. But out of all the people that we've talked to over the 20+ years, had good relationships with the farmers, this was a really, they're a good outfit, and they're honorable people. We got really good feedback from them on doing the right thing. And that's what I wanted for Pendleton. We've always, my father wanted for Pendleton. Just like I said, we know. So that was not our original intent. It was to follow the program. But now I don't think, based upon what home builders have told me, and based upon what the previous homeowner was going to purchase it, they're not interested in building homes there. And that I can see from the selected few that we're getting, but from the major people that approached us and the people that we talked to, they were not interested in building homes there. That's why we did entertain the time came to us. And we did research him. And we researched the buildings down in Whiteland. They don't look like warehouses. They look like office buildings. And that was kind of a look. I didn't want to junk it up. No offense to Tractor Supply, but I didn't want another Tractor Supply. That's just not what we wanted. But they do have aesthetically But, you know, I've always wanted to do what's best for the town. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Any other comments? Concerns? Billy?
Tim, I've heard the rest of the members talk about it. What's your opinion of this? Okay.
Well, we've had prior thoughts and discussions. One was from the owners and developers that putting the warehouses in that corner, they did agree to do some very heavy buffering on the western side there with trees and mounds. We thought that might help, then could build houses from there westwardly. That would also buffer the homes from the warehouses and buffer the homes from I-69 at that point. If and when 146th Street does come through there. We may not be around by then, probably won't be, we definitely probably won't be on the boards. That was their comment to that, and I agree, it would probably help buffer the homes from the interstate with the warehouses there. I agree with Jason. I'm not trying to sway the board or anything, but I have seen a lot of developments in my day. I don't think a lot of builders want to build down in that corner with the interstate coming around there, particularly with the amount of land that's available from there going west. If you drive around out there, the neighbors and people that live out around it, there's a sign in every field out there for sale, or it's 60 or 600 acres. The farmers have caught on, they know what the ground's worth. The developers coming after them. I'm also on the Fall Creek Regional Waste Board. We had to contact every field out there in that quadrant out there from a home developer. However, it does go against our quadrant plan, which can be modified or whatever, but I guess hearing no more comments or questions, I don't think the board at this time has got enough information to make a favorable recommendation. So it'd be my decision tonight, probably to table this to give you one more chance next month. Continue it. Yep, I'm sorry, continue it.
I guess I just had one more when you're done, Tim. One more comment, maybe.
Go ahead now, Kyle.
So I guess, you know, the big conflict with the interchange master plan is the reservation of that frontage. So I don't know if that would be a consideration to maybe split the zoning to allow the front along 38 to be developed less intensively. You know, kind of like the east side where the frontage is a different zoning, maybe as a consideration to try and kind of, you know, blend into that Keystone district and then potentially allow the rear to go light industrial. This thought.
That was kind of our thought, Kyle, was to fill that void down there with this light industrial. And if they do the heavy buffering and tree line, there is an existing tree line there now. Which they agreed not to disturb and actually plant more. Again, I'm not trying to sway anybody, I'm just trying to tell you the facts. Would in fact create a buffer zone for houses if and when they did come to the west.
He's talking about along 38.
I understand that, yeah, but they're not gonna build out there forward. So, thanks, Kyle.
This is Brad Valentine. Even if there is lighter development out off the 38 access to the property, you're still going to channel all of the heavy truck traffic in and out through the Keystone area. And I don't think that you can get away from the fact that taking this light industrial and building additional distribution on the southwest quadrant isn't going to just dramatically increase, based upon the number of docks that I saw in the document, the volume of truck traffic on and off of 69 and basically through the heart of the Keystone development area. And if I look at, you know, my interpretation of the Keystone development area, it is not something that is light industrial with heavy truck traffic.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a high level traffic analysis of what the level of, you know, how that impacts the interchange, you know, might be considered as well then.
And also how it affects the homes that are in Pendleton that are on the west side, their ability to get into town. That feels like that's going to clog that up.
I will say to Jason's point that we get calls all the time. Home builders all over the place
I've never had any interest in this area, just from short amount of time. A few spots that have really been.
Go back to my comments. I think it'll be best to continue this tonight until next month. I would definitely do your homework as far as some questions, some pictures of your Whiteland development, how that would fit here, some traffic information. How you might even do a preliminary design or stable as far as your buffering of trees.
I was gonna say, we can do a full traffic study. We'd like to engage the rest of the property owners. See if we can come up with a compatible arrangement.
Yeah.
Favors them as well.
Right.
And do traffic study. Conceptual elevation. Right. Protect the 30 frontage from the rest of what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Someone there had a question, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Brent Holberson with Mystic Waters, recently took over Pine Lakes. And a big reason we came to this property was the plan of what Pendleton is doing. And no disrespect, both him and Jason. I don't think this is really anything that, I've seen a lot of industrial parks going places, really kind of changes the whole dynamics. Our big thing is we're investing all of our time and money. We really want to beautify this property. 38 acres there along the interstate, which we have cabins, and the noise isn't bad, honestly. It's not bad at all. But we're doing a lot out there to really bring this back to a true family campground, to really beautify as the gateway to Pendleton. And I think, I mean, if we got a lot of trucks going through there, it definitely would hurt us. I mean, it would definitely probably just shut us down and crush us. But we really love to see the development plans. And I think, if there are plans for industrial hotels of nature or something like that, a little more attractive to pull people off the interstate might be a better avenue. Again, housing districts and whatnot, the area is all beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. We're actually really tickled to death to be a part of the town now. And just in our thoughts have been, it just wouldn't be a good fit for the area. So,
I appreciate your thoughts. Welcome to your development.
thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Peter Watson with Mystic Waters partner. I would expect if this plan is looked at and agreed upon, then the same buffer zone on the west side of the property would need to be on the east side and the west side. Would need to be around any business or any sides. Also, I think if the industrial park is granted, then we are going to need gas stations and fast foods on that side of the interstate. So we would be next in line to get rezoned for hotel, gas station, and restaurants to support that industrial park.
Good comments. Anything else? Okay. Jeff, do I need a motion to continue this?
Yes, sir, you do.
Okay. I'll make a motion to continue parcel ID 481419600001 -00-013 and 4814199000200013 till the August meeting, pending further submissions by the owner of setbacks, buildings, traffic counts, etc. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Connie. All those in favor of continuing this meeting, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay. We continue to August.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, item B is resolution amending Pendleton tax allocation redevelopment area.
We've got a map for you on, in your presentation. It's also on the Google Drive. The redevelopment commission this year in 2022 started some early conversations earlier in the year
under the advisement of Jeff Graham, our the town attorney, and staff lead Scott Resky, if you want to chime in, feel welcome to do so. But also Craig Campbell is the president of that commission, and they've been working diligently the last few months to identify some additional parcels that they feel that are proper and appropriate for an additional, would be a fourth new TIF district. We currently have 3 districts now, and they would feel that it's time to add a 4th. So kind of how the nuts and bolts of a TIF district works is that once the property has been identified and approved, and I'll kind of go through those steps here in a second, but once it's approved, there will be a base assessed value of that home. And once that's established, then the increment, that increase in that property value from that line, that amount, and as it grows, the taxes that are captured on that increase then will be funneled through the town of Pendleton, and the redevelopment commission will have those to put into their account to use for different projects, blight properties, and things that they feel that is fit for those funds. It's kind of an economic booster, just some ways that they can help beautify and improve the town of Pendleton. So in April and May, they worked through, started out with about 42 parcels, and they've narrowed it down to 13. Properties that are residential in nature cannot be tipped, however, commercial properties can. So what they did was focus on properties that were near businesses or business-related zoning districts, and where they feel that will develop commercial. Doesn't mean that they will. If they do prove they are, and I will want to clarify this as well, they are ag properties. So all of these properties, there's 13 that they've narrowed down. These 13 parcels, if any of them do develop and get rezoned as residential, we will have process that we'll take to remove them. However, if they become, say, a downtown business district, general business, heavy business, industrial zoning district, then they will remain in that district, and then the town will capture those funds. The first step was in June. So Craig Campbell and his board approved a resolution amending, adding that 4th TIF district. Then there's 3 additional steps that we need to go through, and we're at step 2 tonight. So the Plan Commission, they like to present a resolution approving the resolution. And then the 3rd step will be going, if it is approved tonight, we'll go to town council next week. They will also have their own resolution approving the resolution. And then we'll be going into the August RDC meeting. We'll have a public hearing, and then they will have that final resolution to adopt it as the 4th TIF district. And then by December, if everything is gone as planned, then there will be documents that will be filed with the DLGF, Department of Local Government Finance, to then January of 2023, it will be officially our 4th TIF district. It'll take about a couple of years before we'll start seeing some gain on that, on those increased values. But the clock, it's a 25-year clock that we can designate that those funds in that area will be and can be used. However, that clock does not start until we bond or lease on any of those properties within that district. If you have any questions, I can help, or Scott can help out, but the resolution is also in your Google Drive, and we'd just like to present it and on behalf of the RDC.
So we're
If we can
talking
make
these
it-
light green, is that what
Yes.
we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes, and they've all been identified specifically in the resolution. All the parcel numbers are there.
And are they in our comprehensive plan? Are they identified as being potential business
That is not in the comprehensive plan.
plan or
Yes,
any of the,
but in each of those areas, there is a general business that is within close proximity. And there, yes, yeah, there is one there, I think, far west parcel is heavy business.
We just rezoned that,
Yes, yep, that's right.
the boat storage.
Yep, that's right.
So can you give some examples of how this TIF money that we've accumulated is being used?
Sure, yeah. There's three bonds. One is not, there's three districts. One of them is not currently bonded. The first bond is on the water treatment plant, and then general bonds that we use for projects for the town of Pendleton. Those projects I know that we have coming up for the next few years, earmarked. We've used them for some of our community crossing grants, projects, our street improvement projects, but also the depot parking lot is one that has been slated for a future project for use for those funds. Broadway drainage project, and also we also have some drainage issues there at Elm Street and Madison Avenue. And then long-term, there's some trail work that we like to incorporate up there by the Wellness Center that kind of leads up there to Faulkner Parkway. So those are the four that Scott's identified and presented to the group for upcoming projects. You know, more as far as.
Pretty good. 67, enhancement, which is supposed to the traffic flow. Water Street. Some of that. We're not using all of it. I mean, we're not spending it when we get it either. More and more development comes in, there's going to be a lot of those TIF eligible versus wanting situation.
I'm having trouble, like this one that's up Angle Road. I'm trying to picture where that is. There's a big piece of property down there.
It's kind of by the Philbruns, kind of tucked behind where the salvage grounds, but then
Thank you.
it's close to the Philbruns peat moss, kind
Okay,
of back in that area. Yeah. The third one I forgot, the third TIF district is on the Wellness Center. So there's a bond and a leasing agreement for that one. So that one was created on behalf of the Wellness Center. So that was it.
We don't TIF bond.
pardon me.
We don't TIF the bond. It's sort of a forward and along. That everybody's been waiting for the last 2 decades to close. This, as long as we don't bond against it, then there was no sunset on it. Once you bond against it. But it does generate revenue. I think their revenue right now. Which seems like a lot.
Goes quick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only 2/3 of our paving project this year. Good grant, but that big project is like such structure 600,000.
And making these TIF districts, that doesn't change. I mean, it'd still have to be rezoned and they'd have to go, I mean, that doesn't,
Yeah, all processes.
all the processes, it doesn't
Doesn't
change
take,
it.
yeah, right, it
It
doesn't.
it doesn't mean that we're
We
committed
don't lose
to
any
make it.
authority.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not losing
Right.
our, okay.
Brad, Kyle, or Jenny, any comments or questions?
No, Tim, I don't have any comments or questions.
I think we ought to ask, Mr. Chair, if we could ask Jeff.
Yeah.
He's guiding us.
Jeff, any comments or concerns or guidance from you?
Well, I'll echo pretty much just what Denise said. The only very minor thing I would add to hers is that we can TIF some residential if it's multi-family housing. But single-family housing generally cannot be TIF, but she explained it. This is step 2 in the 4-step process. I wouldn't necessarily repeat what she said other than I endorse it 100%.
All right. Thank you, council. Questions or comments from the audience? Okay. I entertain motions to approve resolution 22-02, resolution amending the Pendleton tax allocation redevelopment area.
I'll second.
Okay. I made a motion to have a second to approve 22-02. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Resolution passes. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board or anything? Anybody online have any questions or comments?
None from me.
By the audience? All right, hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.